with another episode of Midtown Spotlight, where we are working really hard to shine a spotlight on the community leaders that make our city so vibrant and well connected. Today, I'm very excited to introduce Hector Vargas from the Toronto Public Library. Hector holds the role as branch head for the Leaside branch of the Toronto Public Library, and he's been in this role for the past 3 years. He's actually worked for the Toronto Public Library for over 17 years and has also worked for the City of Toronto in the past as both a photographer and a reference clerk for their archives. So I'm so excited to have you on board today, Hector. How are you doing?
Good, good. Nat, it's so nice to finally meet you, even if it's over this platform. But I'm glad we're meeting.
So I'll have you kick us off by telling us a bit about you and your role at the Toronto Public Library Leaside branch.
Sure, thanks, Matt. Yes, a bit about myself. So I know you kind of mentioned some facts at the beginning. So I've been at Leaside now for 3 years as a branch head. Worked at numerous locations around the city, but I had the opportunity to come to Leaside a few years ago, and I've loved it. Worked in different fields before, as you mentioned. So as a photographer, working different roles in the city of Toronto. But here in my role at Leaside as a branch head, I'm essentially manage a team of 14 staff. And one of, I guess, my overarching large responsibilities is ensuring that we're, implementing services and programs that align with our strategic plan, which is all on our website. And that strategic plan aligns with the City of Toronto's strategic plan in a lot of ways. So what this looks like in a more practical sense here at Leaside is implementing programming, implementing services that are barrier-free and that allow Torontonians, but especially Leasiders, to come in and take advantage of it. So, with my staff and myself, we're running lots of programs. We have lots of services and lots of a great collection here that's super relevant for the community as well. So just making sure that that's all aligned. And yeah, I mean, it's such an incredible place to be, and I love being the branch out here. I really do.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you've got a lot on your plate. You have a big team. You said 14 people, right? You
Yeah,
have
just
14
14.
people on your team? Okay,
That's right,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that would keep you really busy between that and all of the events. So that is awesome what you're doing for the community.
Thank you.
What do you find your members love most about the Toronto Public Library?
People love those resources and a lot of other great databases and resources available online. And then there's our unique programs. So even looking here at Lisa specifically, we're running programs ranging from story times, where we have our community room is just full twice a week with babies and toddlers and their parents and caregivers. And my children's librarian that runs it, she's essentially like a local celebrity because they come in and they love interacting with her and watching the story time. So we have programs like that people absolutely love. And then the other side, more for adults, we have writers groups, we have book clubs, we have tech programs that we're doing as well. So we're really making sure that we're offering programs and services for everyone from young babies to seniors as well. And then aside from that, I think it's just such a pleasant place to be. I do have to give a big shout out to my team because my team is absolutely wonderful. And one of the biggest compliments and feedback that I get from customers when I speak directly to them is that, all your staff here are amazing. And they really are. They go out of their way just to provide such great customer service. And I think that's one of the reasons that people absolutely love coming into Leaside. It's just such a positive interaction. So,
Yeah, positive and safe place to be. And,
it
you
really is.
can meet great people and get involved with the community. That is awesome. And, this leads into my next question. But first, I'll say what I was most surprised to hear about the library, because I feel like you go to the library all the time in university or when you're growing up. And then I think it might be quite common that there's a chunk of time, maybe somewhere between 3 to 5 years, that at least this is how it was for me, where I didn't go to the library as much. And now I'm settled into my area and I'm like, oh, I should totally go to the library and take advantage of everything that you offer. And one thing that really surprised me was all of the online resources that you have. You mentioned it in your last couple of sentences that it's not just physical books. You have audiobooks and you have all these online resources. So that's what I was most surprised to hear about. There's all these advancements. The library's quite techy now.
No, we really are. Just to add on to that, I mean, I mean, we always encourage customers that, first of all, if someone's registering for the very first time, um, they may be they may not realize how much there is, especially if you're looking in this example just online. But we always encourage people to come in, you can meet with us, and we can kind of show you the ropes with some of our databases. So that's always an option.
Yes, that's nice to hear.
Hmm.
And then they can see all of the options available, right?
Yeah, that's right. Hmm.
Yeah. So this does lead into my next question. What do you find people are most surprised to hear about what the Toronto Public Library offers? Is it similar to what I said, or do you find there's some other things mixed in there as well?
It's similar. I mean, if I had to choose one or two, I mean, definitely a lot of our online databases, because there are so many people are always surprised when we say, hey, you want to read the latest issues of some magazines or read the daily newspapers, you can just by clicking a link through our website. But one that I think people are always very pleasantly surprised by is we have what's called our Museum and Arts Pass program. And essentially what this is people are able to check out a pass for various landmarks around the city. So we're talking about Science Center, we're talking about Ripley's Aquarium, we're talking about the zoo, we're talking about many other locations as well. And people are able to with a library card, which is, once again, it's free, they're able to go and book one of those passes, right? There is a system to it, but they can go online and essentially book a pass and be like, you know what, for this weekend next month, I want to check out the Zoom. I'll try and get a pass for Ripley. And once again, Toronto Public Library is very much about removing those barriers. So, if we're thinking about a family pass to Ripley's Aquarium, that's quite expensive.
Mm.
So by using this program, they're able to go to visit these landmarks around Toronto for free.
Yeah, absolutely. Great for young families or,
Exactly.
like if you have a couple of kids going to these sites, going to the zoo even, it all adds up. It's hard to go to a lot of these attractions. So that's great that you offer that. Or
For
even
sure.
for people new to Toronto that want to see all of these
Yeah,
attractions.
that's exactly
And
right.
yeah, and wouldn't otherwise be able to go to all of them. So that's great. And you've been at the library and involved for quite some time. What's something that you would say, something that you're so happy you've learned?
Yeah, for sure. I think, and using the example of my time here at Leaside, just how much advocacy there is for the library.
Yeah.
Like it blows my mind. It really does, and it's such an amazing feeling, to come into work, and then to just be speaking or interacting with the customer and just have them say how appreciative they are of the library. And we really saw this especially in the last 3 years. There was twice that we really saw this. So this was when essentially the world shut down for COVID.
Hmm.
And we were set for shut down, and then we opened up for curbside. So so much words of appreciation when we kept it open for curbside, just saying how much people really needed the library, and they were so grateful that we were able to find a way to stay open, and provide those services. So that
Yeah.
was one. And then another time I would say is just it's very recently. So once again, just with the situation we're going through right now, just people kind of checking in on us, on a personal level, just asking us how we're doing, but also just saying how much they can't wait for things to kind of be back 100%. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that's one thing that I've really noticed in my time here is just how they really are appreciative, and there's so many advocates here in this neighborhood in Leaside,
Yeah.
and we cherish each and every one of them. So thank you, Leaside.
Yeah, Leaside's great. I'm from a small town originally, and I do find that Leaside kind of feels like a small town within Toronto, which is nice. I love the feel of it. People really care about the community. It's great.
People really do. If I
Yeah.
could give another quick example, like one thing that comes to mind as well is last year was Leaside's 110th anniversary.
Yeah.
So we worked with the Leaside Residents Association as well as other members of the community, and we planned an exhibit here in the branch. But it's amazing just to see how much Leasiders are able to come together, work together, and how proud they are of the neighborhood, right? It's so great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And why did you decide to work at the Toronto Public Library in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm thinking Yeah, if I'm really thinking back. So I think I was going a very different trajectory at first, many years ago. I was kind of going down graphic arts field, and
That is different.
it is very different. But essentially, at the same time, I was working part time in the library, and I think the more I worked in the library, I just realized kind of what I noted before, just how people really are appreciative of the library. I was also just so happy to be in an organization that um, provided so many services, so many programs without putting up any barriers, right? Really, anyone was able to join our programs or services, take advantage of what the library offers. And then through the years, just seeing how much more the library continues to offer to everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what kind of then changed my trajectory. So it made me pivot. So I went from once again going the graphic arts field to deciding, you know what, I wanna pursue um, a career in the library, and that's what I did. So I was a librarian for a number of years after I got my master's, and then I became a branch head. And you know what? The more time I spend in the library, the more I love it. Like I honestly, I love coming into work and speaking with customers, speaking with a great team here. And yeah, I think that's why I'm here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's awesome. And thanks for sharing a little bit of the background on that. So, do you still do any graphic art on the side, or not so much anymore?
Me personally, graphic arts, not so much.
Okay.
I mean, my only somewhat link to that is a bit of photography that I do on the side, maybe more
Okay.
as a hobby. So, but yeah, no, career-wise, really pivoted and went into a librarianship.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I don't have too much of a creative bone in me. I'm not too artsy, so I'm always so interested in anyone who's got a little bit of arts background because my brain just doesn't operate that way. I feel like when you and I first connected, I think I mentioned this, but I feel like I connect so personally to the library and what you do in your role because my mom is actually working up at the library in Midland. I know that's not the Toronto Public Library, but just hearing what she does and what she gets to be a part of. I love hearing the stories. Sometimes I'll go up and visit her in Midland and she'll just share the families that she's gotten to know or,
Hmm.
what they're doing for the community. And I just have such a newfound appreciation. I've always been appreciative of things like the library, but since knowing someone personally, I feel like now I get it. I feel
It's
like I
amazing.
connect with it so much more. So, do you have any memorable experiences that you want to share? I know you've been working there a really long time, but any memorable experiences you want to share with us?
Yeah, it's funny. I know you just shared that anecdote, but I always find, I mean, the library field is very well connected. So whether you're from a small rural public library system or a large one like Toronto, um, there's something that librarians and library staff love about just about that role, right? And what the library stands for. So similarly here, I mean, you also kind of mentioned before that even though we're in this big city, Leaside kind of feels like its own small town in a way, or kind of its own neighborhood. And there's something so charming about that. And so we see a lot of the results of that small town feel, I guess, right? In a way. Um, and once again, it's through just those interactions with customers, people coming in saying how appreciated they are. And there's one customer that comes to mind. Any opportunities to get, he's a wonderful baker, so like amazing baker in Leaside. She always brings us sweets and things like that, and she's always, it's always accompanied by a card and her telling us just how much the library means to her and how appreciative she is. And it's just building those relationships with customers that I think is really the what stands out for me. So seeing, 3 years ago, young families that just had a child and now that child is walking and talking, and just kind of, building a relationship with the family and just watching their family grow.
Yeah.
And knowing that, whether the child is, a month old or 3 years old or 10 years old, we have great services and programs that we can provide to them as well. So for me, I'm very much a people person. I love, once again, just building those relationships with people. I love connecting with organizations, local organizations. For me, that is really what stands out for like in my 3 years here. Those interactions with customers and just how, once again, proud and positive Leasiders are. It honestly fills me with so much joy. It makes me love my job even more.
Yeah, that's amazing. And not everyone can say that. They say to find a job that doesn't feel like a job because then you don't work a day of your life, right? I think the saying goes something like
Something
that.
along those lines. That's right. Yeah.
Something along the lines of that. But it it's not that simple, and you have found that, and that's amazing. So
Mhm.
I'm happy to hear that you love what you do
Thank
at the
you.
library, and that's very cool that you get to see families grow. I can imagine that you feel very invested in them and seeing the kids come back in year after year, and you get to see them grow and go through all these chapters of life. That is very cool.
It is. It really is amazing, and it's so touching, especially when the child comes back and they remember your name and they say hi and whatnot. So it really is. It really is amazing.
So wholesome.
It really is. Yes, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what is coming up in the upcoming months at the Leaside brand?
Yeah, for sure. So we always have lots going on. So we have my staff here. We all play such an important role in all the programs and services that we provide. So we're continuing with our programs. So whether it's the story times, whether it's our after school club, whether it's our writers group, our book club, we do partnered programs with Repair Cafe, for instance, that's coming up in February. One of the big things that we're really looking forward to is happening in March, and that is our Teen Council art exhibit. So we have a volunteer group of teens that come together. So they meet usually 2 or 3 times a month here at Leaside. Amazing teams, many of them from Leaside, many of them from Leaside High as well. I always speak so highly about the youth and the children in our neighborhood. So they come together and they essentially help us to plan programs, displays for youth. So it's very much a youth volunteer program for youth. So they're helping to actually plan an art exhibit that we're going to have up for the month of March. So we're super excited for that. So
Oh,
working
that's so
along with
cool.
we're so excited for it. We really are. And yeah, so a lot of art, I think the art is going to be primarily art, probably in poetry as well, different forms of art and expression from the Teen Council volunteers, and they're going to have it. So there'll probably be a bit of publicity around that as well. So that's one of the things that we're super excited for. And again, that's happening in March.
Okay.
I think throughout the year, we're also hoping to have kind of like a customer appreciation event, just because everything I've said for the last 15, 20 minutes, it's we can't thank customers enough. It really is. It makes our day just for customers to come in and just tell us how much the library means to them and how appreciative they are of the staff that work here. So I think something down the road this year as well, looking at it, kind of like a customer appreciation, just to kind of look to the community and say thank you for everything.
And for our listeners or anyone who checks out the community website with your interview, if they want to see all of these events and the information for that, should they just go to the Toronto Public Library website, or what's the best place for them to look for that information?
Yeah, so for the most part, so look to our website. There's an option to go to programs, and then you can actually just narrow it down to Leaside if you want to look at Leaside.
Okay, great.
People can also come in, and we have a small newsletter that we do. So we usually send out an email just to kind of give people a heads up of what's happening the upcoming month or so, or any future programs and other options.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I'm going to sign up for that newsletter. I actually saw you have a very unique event coming up. I think I read this right, where it's to fix your home equipment. Am I
Yeah,
remembering that right? There's a
yeah.
workshop where you can bring stuff in. I might do that.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to. That'd be amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we have as I mentioned, we do a lot of kind of partnered programs, or we work with local organizations. So in this case, we're working with Repair Cafe Toronto. So they're coming in, they're just bringing fixers. That's their title, their volunteer title. And we've run it now, I think 2 or 3 times, and it's amazing. People are bringing everything from a small device to their vacuum, and then walking out with it fixed. So it's quite incredible. So I encourage people, including yourself, find something that needs fixing and you can bring it in for that. But also just keep an eye out on all of our programs that we have on our website.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, very cool. I've got one more question for you. So,
Sure.
got a curveball. I've got a personal question now. That was not too hard, I
Oh no, oh
promise.
no.
But what is one fun fact about you, Hector, that most people don't know, but you still feel comfortable sharing?
Oh gosh, well, that's super personal, super personal. Fun fact, I'll give you two fun facts. So one of them I kind of referred to before. So I still do a bit of photography. So I'm really into wildlife photography. So that's kind of like the genre that I'm really kind of fixing on. Um, so usually whenever I have some downtime, whenever I'm not working, um, and I have some time to kind of go away, you'll find me kind of driving out to parks out of the city and just doing some wildlife photography. So even during the winter. So example, last week from the date of this recording, um, just went up to Algonquin for the day, and I was out there just kind of doing some photography and whatnot. So that's definitely a passion of mine. Another little tidbit is actually I recently, I guess the last couple of years, I moved out of the city, so I actually live quite a bit north of Toronto. Um, so I'm in Georgina now, which is a bit
Oh,
away from
okay.
Toronto, but I think it's also a testament to living out there, um, putting up with the commute, which is not actually horrible, but coming into Leaside and still having such a great day, just because once again the staff here are amazing. The space itself is amazing, such a positive space to be in. And once again, just the interactions that I have with customers every single day just really, really fill me up.
Yeah, absolutely. I know where Georgina is actually. And I mean, I'm originally from Midland, so
Yeah,
I'm from 2 hours north of Toronto as well. So we, kind of have that in common. Midland's a little bit of a worse commute because like
a little bit, yeah.
it could take
You're
a
across the
while.
lake and then a bit further north. That's right. So,
Yeah, exactly. Like, and Toronto traffic isn't easy, but that's great that you love what you do. So then the commute doesn't feel so bad.
yeah, that's right. And another little plug quickly, because I have a commute. So one resource that I swear by, or Toronto Public Library resource I swear by, is Overdrive/Libby, which is one of our databases for ebooks and e-audiobooks. So my commute, I'm listening to e-audiobooks all the time. So definitely
That's
encourage people to check that out.
great. I should ask you this. This will be my last question. What are you listening to or reading right now? What's your book of choice?
Oh gosh, so I just finished up Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. And then the other one that I'm actually listening to, it's an e-audiobook, is oh gosh, I'm trying to remember the author's name. He's an El Salvadorian author. His name, Javier, I think, something. But the book is called Solito. So I just started it actually just yesterday. So that's kind of the book that I'm listening to.
Oh, that's great. I always need
Yeah.
the book recommendations. I can't believe that I almost didn't ask you that. Someone who works at the library, what are you reading right now? That is the most obvious question.
I was expecting that to be question number one, but it's all right.
I got there. Better late than
You got there
never,
exactly right. So
right?
building up to it.
Exactly. I'm keeping everyone engaged right to the end.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right, so I'm going to wrap up here, Hector. Thank you so much. I could talk to you all day. This has been so
I know.
much
I love
fun.
it. I know. I can't believe
Yeah,
we're wrapping up. What is
I know. This is
it?
great. We can always do one later in the year, and you can share what's going on in the summer or fall, at the library as well. We can do another one.
That's anytime.
Yeah, you're such a superstar. Honestly, that sounds really cheesy, but you are. I have loved getting a chance to finally do this. I can't wait to come in person and meet you in person. But this has been so awesome. And for our listeners, once again, I've been chatting with Hector from the Leaside branch of the Toronto Public Library in Toronto, and I'm Natalie Graham, your Keller Williams Leaside realtor and local leader. Stay tuned for our next episode where we get to shine a spotlight on another community leader. Thanks so much, Hector, for your time. Chat soon.
Thank you, Matt.